Kia ora koutou, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast focused on conversations during COVID-19. And you'll remember that we've been really lucky to have guests like Nigel Latta, Rachel Tolele, and Annie Hamilton speaking with us before now. And today I have a very special guest, Suzy Cato, who will be known to so many of you as a real icon and children's broadcaster, and now part of our education program, part of our education broadcast during COVID-19. So Suzy, thank you so much for joining us today. I can see you're broadcasting from your colourful bubble today. How's your bubble going?
Hey, my bubble is going very well. Thank you, Jacinda. And yes, there's plenty to do here. There's no getting bored, that's for sure.
You're a working mum, Suzy. How are your children getting on?
I'm quite fortunate in that I've got a self-motivated 15-year-old and a very pliable 12-year-old. So things are going pretty well. It's not without its struggles. They're average Kiwi kids in an average Kiwi home. So there's a little bit of sibling, argy-bargy going on. And schoolwork is something that needs encouragement, but yeah, we're doing okay, and I'm very glad about that. Work is proving a little bit of a challenge. It was really easy in the first 2 weeks when my two were on holiday, but yeah, trying to get that whole work school juggle going on and making sure that I'm charging up the stairs to check out how it's going and taking break times with them and things like that while trying to record. But you'll know what I'm talking about, won't you, Jacinda?
I do. But tell us a little bit about that. You've kind of I asked a few people on Facebook and Instagram to give me some questions for you. One of the questions that's being asked is around scheduling. And so are you running a school schedule at home in your household right now?
Yeah, our schools, the two schools that my kids are at, we've got one at college and one at intermediate, they've both provided a structure, which has been really, really handy. So we've worked towards that. The intermediate has provided a structure that said, you don't have to do it at this specific time, but if you can achieve it, then that would be great. The college has been more structured. So we've kind of worked around that a little bit more and taken break times and had decent break times as well, so that I get to down tools as well, because it's so easy just to work through. And if you're home by yourself or in your office by yourself, you can often work through. So it's just so important to be able to connect with the kids at this time. So we're making the most of it.
So you're aligning your breaks with their breaks then?
Yeah, where I can. There's a little conversation on Zoom at the moment, which is going to clash with afternoon tea, but that's fine.
Sorry about that.
No, they understand. They think, whoa.
And so does that mean that you are are there special times of day that you've scheduled in with your family? So you're doing morning teas, afternoon teas, any little rituals you've started as a family that are really helping pass the time or helping keep a sense of connection and structure to your day?
Yeah, I think what we're doing is more meals around the dining table than we do on a normal school day. Often, because the kids are heading out the door and I'm putting lunch boxes or my husband's putting lunch boxes together, we don't sit down and have breakfast with them, but we have been during lockdown, and we have been spending lunch together, and we don't normally do that until the weekend, and even then the kids are here, there and everywhere, so we might not get to do that. But dinner time, and we're doing little things like candlelit dinners and getting dressed up and having themed nights and celebrating for the sake of celebrating. So it's those little things, trying to make the most of the time together, because lockdown will pass. It will pass down incredibly quickly, and we'll be back into it'll be a new norm, but we'll be back into a sense of normality. And it's now that we can have quality, if not, it's quantity as well, but we can actually make the most of some quality time with our whānau.
Absolutely. In fact, just on that feels to me like perhaps something that might help with motivation. I've got a question here from Karen. She asked how she would motivate a young teen boy who doesn't want to do school stuff. Is having things that you do together at the end of the day, is that part of your motivation with your young people?
Yep, definitely. With my two, one in particular, the stuff that they really enjoy is the stuff that gets done first. So and that's just one of those things with kids. And I know that when I hit the desk myself, there are always things that get priority over others because they're either easier or funner. So we kind of ensure that there's a good balance. Okay, you focused on this yesterday. How about we do this? And I'll start it out. I'll help. I'll ask you a few questions. We'll go through some of the tricky things. And that's what she might find with her son, is that he's not enjoying school, or he's finding it particularly difficult. So if she's able to, I understand she's working as well, if she's able to give some time to him and make it easier. I don't know if it's maths or anything like that. It used to be my stumbling block. And here I am now on this home education channel sharing maths. So that's wonderful. I'm relearning again.
Which I understand has been very, very popular. So tell me a little bit, I mean, some of those exercises that you've come up with, where do you get that inspiration from? Is that something you parents? How do you decide that you're going to teach something in such an accessible way? Where do you get those ideas?
Well, behind every good presenter is generally a massive big team. And so I'm working with a team of teachers and educationalists from around the country. Here I am in Auckland, and they're in Wellington, and there's people in the far north, and they're all over Hamilton, everywhere. And they're coming up with ideas. They're taking a look at what I can do with Suzy's World, and then they're going, okay, what have we got tomorrow being Friday? Well, on Friday we've got popcorn. So we don't actually count popcorn, but we look at how we can work with popcorn in a maths way as well. So it's that integration between science and maths together. So they come up with some ideas. I then go, ain't got those props at home, and I adapt and find other ways of doing it.
So literally you're having to make sure that you've got, whatever you're doing has to be something you can source from home at the moment.
Yeah.
Has there been anything that's just been impossible that you've had to really...
Yeah,
creative?
Jelly beans. You just can't get jelly beans at the moment. So we had to make a graph with gummy bears instead.
Which I would say would be controversial, but I would say maybe a superior lolly. But
I don't know. You can't go past a black jelly bean. I love them.
Yeah, I feel like that is also a polarizing statement, Suzy. This might be the time when we pull down that icon status. You've just jelly bean. So that brings me to another question that we've had from Lynette. She asks, how much pressure do we put on the children to complete quality works? Because you're using some great tips from keeping kids engaged. Is engagement the main thing, or do we worry about quality at the moment as well?
Oh, look, I think a lot of what the educationalists are saying is that if you can encourage the kids to try and keep some structure and to keep working forward, then that would be fantastic. And focus on the subjects that you really enjoy. But it is about enjoying this time, because it's stressful. Parents with stresses can't help but share those stresses occasionally. So it's about making it enjoyable without too much pressure on the parent trying to be the teacher or the child really trying to achieve. So what they're saying is, don't put too much pressure on yourself. I know that I'm trying to make sure that my kids just, keep going, one foot in front of the other, but try and have as much fun as possible.
I think
that makes sense.
Makes absolute sense. We spoke at the very beginning with Nigel Latta, and one of the things that he said was kids will actually just inherently learn during this period, and so not putting too much pressure on yourself is a really important part of this particular time, which is unique, and as you say, it too will pass. Yeah.
Well, Jacinda, with a toddler that they are learning constantly. Every day there's something new development, and you just go, wow, they're counting now, or they know where their nose is, or that kind of thing. With older children, there are so many things that you can do, whether it's getting them to go outside and hunt for bugs, or compare different colours of the leaves and those sorts of things. Or I've got my two making dinner and baking, and we may be contributing to the problems with the flour, but but it's a
perfect activity. There's maths, there's science, in just the basic act of cooking.
Oh, definitely, which is wonderful, because it's then something that you can all share together. Just harkening back to that question from the mum about encouraging the teen, I was thinking about that the other day, and I've actually started a TikTok account. Okay, I've only put 2 TikTok dance thingies up there because just with this home learning channel that's been so busy. But
now,
yeah,
this will take off now. Suzy on TikTok.
Oh, we're going to start doing some more. Have you got one, Jacinda?
No.
Not anytime soon?
No, I lack basic coordination. Thank you though for asking.
I'll just put the pressure on Clark then, get him to do it. But it's another great way of connecting with your team. So we do it as a bit of a reward, just as much for me, probably more for me than it is for my son, because I'm not very good at gaming. But I will say, okay, you achieve this, and then when I'm finished my work as well, we can hang out and do some gaming together. And so whether it's that or watching the movie or, you know, having a specific something to eat, you know, something nachos for lunch or whatever it is, things like that can be really beneficial. And just sitting and talking with your kids.
Yeah.
That's really important too.
Simple rewards. Tell me, are your kids watching the channel that you are part of at the moment?
We've tuned in a couple of times, yes. And loved Karen O'Leary's Karen's Home. Oh my goodness, that is so good.
And so there hasn't been any shaming from the kids around any of the activities or anything like that?
No. But as they say to me, oh, Mum, you're off to a meeting. Are you going to shake your bum at this one? And invariably, I'm off to do a presentation somewhere.
Yep.
And I'll have to sing, which we haven't done yet, Jacinda. We'll do that later. And I have to sing, but I generally get them to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And I've had that at council meetings and all kinds of things. It's a great way of breaking the ice and getting them into the kind of presentation that I'm about to give. And it invariably involves some kind of cunny where we wiggle our bottoms. So maybe we could do that later too.
I'm glad this is a seated interview. Are you picking up, I mean, a lot of people are picking up ideas from you. Are you getting feedback from parents or children with their ideas for the education channel? Any favourites you want to share?
Oh, look, I've been getting a lot of photographs of kids who have created their own rain gauges or their graphs and things like that. And a gorgeous little video of a young girl who created a coronavirus out of an orange with cloves. So she stuck cloves in there, and I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. Might have to use that for the show.
Are you using these ideas at all?
What's that?
Are you using any of these ideas that you're getting directly from kids?
At the moment, I've seen things that they're doing that are based on my activities. So now I need to do what I do at the end of Suzy's World and say, hey, if you've got any questions you'd like me to investigate, please send me an email, suzy@suzy.co.nz.
Well, for any parent or kids out there listening, I hope that they drop you a little line with some of the things they might like to see on the broadcast.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful.
One of the main questions I got, Suzy, when I said that I'd be talking to you, one of the dominant themes was the question around whether or not you would permanently be on our screens, doing the same kind of things that you're doing now as part of COVID. People want to see you more often. So tell us about your plans for the future.
That's a really good question. I think a question mark hangs over all of us with what's happening in the future. But look, I've never stopped making kids content. I've got a kids radio show that's on 25 radio stations around the country. So it's on a Saturday or Sunday morning. And it's all your old favourite songs and stories from when we were growing up, you know, Flip the Fire Engine and Little Toot, and a lot of local content, the music that's been created by local artists. And we've what am I trying to say here? Oh, I've got a YouTube channel, and so I've been making a lot of arts and crafts for kids and getting kids involved in it as well, which is fantastic. And I would love to be back on television full time, so I would love to have a team together again to create content like this. At the moment, there's just my husband and I, and we've luckily got an editor or two involved now, but just to have a team that's creating stuff that's engaging kids and getting them interested in their environment and their communities, that's a wonderful dream of mine.
Well, in the meantime, though, of course, if you've already got content up on your YouTube channel, we'll make sure that we post it below so that if people want to get any additional content for their kids, that they can jump online. What kind of age range are you catering for on your YouTube channel?
We're catering for kids up to about the age of 12, kind of what we're doing with the with my science and math segments for the Learning Channel.
And Suzy, what I'm hearing, I mean, you're using a lot of educationalists to create the content that we're seeing at the moment, but I've also had teachers themselves asking for advice. Here's Alan. He says, how about Suzy's number one piece of advice for teachers moving from face-to-face learning to distance, because obviously that's an experience you've got using either online or through screen platforms. What's your tips for distance learning?
Well, I guess the thing, you're going to be working with a camera the kind of way you are at the moment, Jacinda, and I am as well, with here in my own bubble. So it's picturing the person that you're talking to and imagining the facial expressions that you're going to get back and going, am I going to get a what's going on look, or is the child going to be nodding with me and going, oh yeah, I get that. So it's about using your imagination and picturing the child there and engaging with that child. Doesn't matter what age the child is.
And that's probably something for that face-to-face as communication as always, same principle.
Oh yeah, definitely. So if you're taking out of the classroom into the camera, and it's the same as you would with a Zoom, and that's that whole delay too when people are talking and things like that. It's taking a breath in between each answer and letting that other person have a chance to react and that sort of thing.
So through COVID-19, I've been asking people, what is it that you hope that we remember or hang on to from this period going forward? What is it that you hope that we remember for kids, young people, and their learning?
I would like to think that from this, we take away a sense of community and that we have a better understanding of our whānau and our place within our whānau, and that we have a stronger sense of who we are, because as individuals and as also as a nation, because I guess the way we have done this together in lockdown has brought us all together in so many ways. I love is walking down the road at the moment, getting a bit of fresh air outside my bubble, is the eye contact and the waves and calling out into the end of people's driveways and things like that. You're not going to get close to them, but you're making contact in other ways because you're all in it together. So I think that's really, really special. And the time that we're spending with our whānau, make it fun. As much fun as you can. If you're having any issues, if you've got any stresses or concerns, if you're feeling that you're not coping, that you feel that you need to take out your anger in any way, get help. There are so many wonderful help lines available. Please get help and do try and make the most of it. Breathe through it and let it go as much as you can, because it is a finite time. Okay, we don't know exactly what that time is, but it is only a finite time, and our new normal will bring new challenges and new opportunities to be a community and to enjoy our whānau.
It sounds to me, so there's fantastic advice. And the first time I remember ever hearing you talk about issues like this and making sure that people are looking after themselves was when we were both at an event where we'd been asked to read out a letter that we'd written to our 16-year-old selves, I think it was. And your letter to yourself was so moving. I just wondered if you could just share your thoughts on looking after yourself through this period and just that personal well-being.
Wonderful. Okay, well, the best way to for me is just taking time out for myself. So I am lucky because I have my husband at home so that I can get out and get into my bubble. But there's also that whole thing of making sure that I have a moment where I can pick up a book, or I can go out and dig in the garden, or making the most of that time out by the washing line. And one thing I've done for years, and I encourage my kids to do, is to breathe. It sounds a really strange thing to say, but it's that whole deep breathing down into your solar plexus. And I try and do this at night. But at the moment, the hours that I'm doing, I tend to hit the pillow and I'm gone. But it's about taking that moment just to clear the head and just breathe through it all. Replacing the wine bottle with a water bottle is a really good idea, because we never function very well when we've got a hangover. And I know that people have gone, oh my goodness, I need a wine to get me through this. And I know it's all good and fun and jest, but it's about making sure we're having lots of water, that we're getting lots of fresh food and fresh air. Open up those windows if you're in an apartment, or if you're able to get out into the garden and go for a walk, take the whānau with you and find a park that everybody can race around and keep away from the playgrounds. But go and find a puddle and splash in it and find the inner child. If it hadn't been for the playgrounds being shut down, I'd say go on a swing, because that's what I did with Dancing with the Stars every now and then, because it was so stressful. On my way on the drive home, I just went and swung on the swing and just let the wind blow through me and just that kind of thing. It's taking time out for yourself and being kind to yourself. being gentle. Everything is going to be okay. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful advice. Advice to live by too, Suzy, and not just through COVID. This is exactly the kind of self-care that I hope people remember after this as well. So thank you for reminding us.
Oh, Jacinda, hopefully you have time to be looking after yourself too, with all that you and the hours that you're doing and all the responsibility that you have on your shoulders.
Oh, I am very lucky. I have in my bubble Clark, and I also have my mum. So I'm very well looked after. But
yes. Your mum put together that wonderful lunchbox that you shared on your Facebook page. How wonderful.
She was mortified about that. She was really upset that you could see that the banana had turned and was... She said, "You've got to go and tell everyone. I meant it for a smoothie." She was...
All right.
Hey, thank you, Suzy, so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. And thank you so much for what you're doing for all kids around New Zealand right now. Just giving that sense of calm and consistency and fun in a time that's really tough. So thank you so much.
Hey, it has been my pleasure. Thank you. See you later.
See you.